Um, it's just so much joy to be here. I've never been to Benin City before. Um, the last time I was in Nigeria, the last time I was in Nigeria was about 7 years ago, because I've been away from Africa for a long period of time. My journey is the journey of everyone. I'm a Christian. Um, it's part of my identity and my influence. So when another Christian calls me to show up, I show up. Well, it's been very wonderful seeing your story. My class knows you very well. They know what you do. So when you reached out, I made every single effort to come. When you run an institution, you become everything. You become the cleaner, you become the accountant, you become everything. So when they read the bio, sometimes I don't know which one they referring to. Because from here, I jump into a call and you're raising money to sustain your institution. I won't keep long. I want to show you who I am and talk about what I do. And again, don't please, if there's any photographer over here or all of us are photographers, don't distance yourself from my story. My story is a story of a photographer who started about 7, 8 years. I literally started, my first camera was um, August 2000, August, I think 8 years, exactly 8 years ago. I sold my iPhone to buy my first camera, Canon T3i, and I'll never forget that day. I'm Paul Ninson, I'm the founder, and I call myself chief servant because I'm not in this business to be served. I serve people. Currently, I'm the curator of Dikan Gallery, and I create for other institutions. I'm also a photographer, and currently this year I've been appointed a scholar at University of Pennsylvania. I start with my story. For the last 4 years, whilst I was in New York, I started a project called Sources and Influence. I've been searching for my source and my influence. Why am I here? What caused me to be here today? It's all because of my sources and all because of my influence. Storytelling was inherent in my community and my culture. My grandparents were traditional rulers of our community in Asante region. I'm an Asante boy. To them, they thought I was going to be a king one day, which never happened and will not happen because my ideology, I'm too much of a socialist. So growing up, they always tell me oral history. So these stories were stuck in my head. I never saw them. So that was the edge of visual storytelling. Because my grandparents, to them, culturally, which is among us, was that let's pass on generational history from one day to the other. So that is my story. That is my influence. And you will see the influence throughout everything I do. Because I'm an Asante boy, our local dialect is Chi, which many of you might know. So I name buildings, institution, the fabric of what we do is by that. I don't believe in isolation. I don't believe in identity, which is different from the system we build. I'm a system builder. I'm an institution builder. So Dikan means take the lead in our local dialect. My father, there was no point of complaining in our house. It's either you fix it or you shut up. There was no whining in our house. So that principle became part of me. I love Africa. I'm a Nkrumah. I love every part of Africa. I believe in Pan-Africanism. I believe that all of us have to be together to build something. That is why I'm here. I'm not here to come and talk. I'm here to share the shared vision of Africa, that we can solve the problems of Africa. When I came to Nigeria, I see so many problems. That is what I love because all of us can solve them. Nigeria is more than 250 million. Good opportunity. If you build one library, it makes so much impact. In New York, there's more than 1,000 libraries in the small island of New York. But how many libraries are there in Benin City? And it doesn't take much to do that. So, as I'm a system builder, as I told you about my story and my identity, it's infused in everything I do. So, we are taking the lead in educating the next generation of creative leaders to transform Africa. Being a photographer nowadays is not enough. To solve African problems, we need to go beyond that. So for us and for me, my ideology is that if I could train a photographer to become a creative leader, not just to take a picture, then I think I can retire. Then I think that I'm successful. So for us, this is the journey we are on. And to do that, we want to educate African-centered education, which is missing in our culture today. Why is it that Yoruba culture is not part of our books? Why am I reading Vikings and Harry Potter? Why is our curriculum enough of the colonization? Why is my curriculum filled with so many things of America and UK rather than things that can solve us? If we can solve that problem, we can transform Africa. Education is the key. The element of if I know my identity as an Yoruba man, as an Hausa man, because for years we've been told that our culture is not important. Our tribe is past. How many of you remember when you speak Chi, when you speak your local dialect in class, you are being punished? They call it vernacular. Why? How is our education not diverse enough that the people of Benin can know about themselves? But we're teaching us so much of the Western culture. Everybody wants to Japa. The foundation of it is that I've learned so much about America. My news is all American news. This whole week is about Trump and American election. What about me? What about us? People live in Nigeria, they don't even know what happens in Ghana. They don't know their Asante culture. When I was studying, I never heard of a Yoruba culture. It's only when my dad asked me to read. So to tackle this system, we built this machine, an engine, a system that is not centered around me, a system that can transform us as a total human being. So we have the education, which is true fellowship, journalism fellowship, and I'm proud to tell you, we are the only photojournalism school in Africa which is free. And welcome all Africans. We do not charge a penny. We don't charge anyone. All the Nigerians who come to Dikan have a place to stay. We support them whilst they are there. We provide them with equipment. We teach them an African-centered education. When I went to New York to study photojournalism, my first course was History of America. In Dikan, our first course is Visual History of Africa. Our second course is Africa Research. We're not in a space to learn about Cartier-Bresson. We're not in a space to learn about how to light for the white man. We're in a space of how do you understand the skin color of your African fellows? And how do you tell an African story through the African gaze, not the white gaze? We don't care about human. We don't care about New York Times. We don't care about National Geographic. We want you to go back to Nigeria and build your own New York Times, because that is a system that we've been circumvented so much. Many people in Nigeria want to work for. Many people in Nigeria and Ghana want to work for National Geographic, but doesn't want to work for the newspaper in Benin City. When I tell a National Geographic story, there's a paywall. My grandmother, my mother, you and I cannot read because it's for the white people. It's not meant for you. New York Times, you have to pay $20 a week to read. So if you commission me to go to Benin State, Kano, to tell a story, and I supply you, you see how colonization still happens. For us, this is what we've come up together with to change that system. We have supporting women who have been the backstage of African storytelling for years. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but today, if I ask anyone to be a photographer, they can mention 10 African photographers' names, but no woman. How? But then again, our mothers are the first storytellers. Our dad don't know. Culture are being preserved, identity are being preserved by women in Africa. You can challenge me, I'll show you. This is our library. I'll tell you a story again. When I went to New York, they never accepted my story. They've never accepted me for who I am. So they constantly asking me to show work from New York, not work from Africa. I remember very well on September 24th, 2018, my classmate told me he's too white to shake my hand. That is when I welcomed racism and I realized that the system was not meant for me. How do you go to American school and think that you're going to change American school when your all lecturers are Americans? What are they going to offer you? They are going to offer you sequencing, frequency separation, photo editing. Can they tell the African story? My lecturers have never been to Kano, Benin, Accra, Northern Region, Kenya. So how would their identity be affected me? At our library, all the books, half of them is divided. I strictly divided the library into two. So this session is anything non-Africa. So I want you to know. And there's one session which is all black. And it's called Black Star Collection. We collect oral histories, archives, music, books, and cultural material which are designed for people to know about them themselves. That is where identity is. If we all can talk about identity, yes, it evolved. Yes, it can change. But what is the system is preserving the identity? What is the system? I don't want to talk about restitution. I don't want to talk about reparation. The artifact they took, let them take it. There's so many Benin bronze here. But us, how long have we studied Benin bronze? The ones which are here, how many of us even know about the Benin bronze and the Benin culture? So why am I worried? Chasing the wind. Why am I worried? Shouting and screaming. When the secondary school over here doesn't even know the Benin bronze I'm fighting for. When the kids in primary school do not even know what the Benin bronze is. So why are we wasting our resources flying to UK and screaming and yelling? Yes, we need the object back politically, but can we focus here first? I believe technology and innovation is key in identity. How can we use technology? How can we code? How can we bring AI to the classroom? Which the AI is designed for us. Our own ChatGTP. Today, when you type Yoruba, describe Yoruba in ChatGTP, it's a white man's language. The linguist and the king in Accra, in Asante culture, in the Maasai culture, is not part of the design of AI. That tells our story. So when you say I'm a storyteller, you also have to think about how can I add technology into the storytelling? How can I solve some of these problems? So for us, we started something called Story Lab. And the Story Lab welcomes engineers, coders to come together with photographers, with curators, with archivists. Can we design our own software? Can we design a way that we can dispense knowledge to other people? So I'm proud to tell you, we build our own AI for Africa. Currently, we have more than 100 million archives I've been building for 2 years. So that when I type, share a picture, or describe, generate a picture of an Yoruba king, I don't want to see some fancy black-faced person. I want to see a real picture of Yoruba king. Again, I built another institute within Dikan. It's called Awo. In our local dialect, Awo means a wise grandmother, the preserver of knowledge, the custodian of heritage. And that is what the institute is about. And an institute which is a feminine, a woman. Because right now, if you want to ask about your culture, who do you go to? The grandmother. So why is it Harvard and Yale has so much of our archives? Why they determine what goes into publications and not? So we all be collectively to be responsible for identity. Today, if I put a ticket here and a scholarship, everybody will leave, except few. Because they want to go to the Harvard. And the Harvard has been coming here, taking our archives, collecting them for many, many, many years. And all of them is in the basement. And again, why am I so concerned about this? One of my joy day was when I was appointed a scholar at UPenn. First, they appointed me a visiting scholar. In the whole museum, there's only one black person responsible for Africa. So when they saw my papers, my research, and what I'm doing, they promoted me all the way to the highest form of scholars, which is the consultant scholar. So I advised the university on Africa. When I got my ID card and I logged onto the library of UPenn, I cried. UPenn has the biggest anthropological collection of Africa, which is the size of a football pitch. They buy everything from us. It's the restitution we are talking about. They're still collecting. So what are you fighting for? So when you fight, they bring one, they have two. Last year, I was also appointed as Oxford cultural leader. I was the only black in the classroom, and I was the only African. Because wherever I go, my black face is the only place. Again, I went to a library, a museum. Sorry, I'm taking a little bit of time. I went to a museum, and the museum is a neatly arranged stolen artifacts of Africa. It's in Oxford. Again, Oxford is one of the few universities in the world which has walls around it. It has a big wall. That means either you're in or you're out. How can I afford 100,000 US dollars? Why will I pay 100,000 US dollars to learn about Yoruba? Again, you can search it because I've done my research. There's more African studies outside Africa than Africa. How many universities in Africa has a department for African studies? So we don't study ourselves. We don't research ourselves. How can I find a collective or independent identity of myself when I don't know myself? That's the easiest way of colonization. Barrier of information. Because the white person can come right now and tell you, in 1982, Yorubas were chewing animals or human beings. You believe it. Because they are the sole custodian of your collection and your research and everything. And that is what identity crisis we have. Why don't we love enough of Nigeria? Why don't we love ourselves as Yoruba, Kanu, Ghanaian? Why? It's because we've lost our identity. So we are always fighting the politician who doesn't even love his own country. Because he grew up in Oxford. How many politicians in Nigeria completely schooled in Nigeria? It's easy. So there's a generation of Nigerians who live outside, come back, Americanized. They don't even love Yoruba culture. They don't even know what Benin bronze is. If I don't know my culture, I cannot develop the country. That is the crisis we are in as Africans. Because we think that building roads, building a classroom blocks is enough for the people in the community. It's not. So we just got a 3-story building, which my dear friend was the first person to actually, outside bio, to even see the building. I build in quietness. I don't talk. I don't shout. I don't care because I'm in the space to build. As a chief servant, I'm here to serve Africa. I'm not in a space to jump on social media to post everything. My social media is a lie because I don't post everything I do. When the time is right, I post. So the Awo Institute is the biggest digitization center in Ghana. We are the only conservation lab. We are the only audiovisual lab in Ghana. We have the biggest, currently we digitize 7,000 archives in a day. We are aiming to digitize 20,000 archives by the end of next year. That means I'm building a system that can inform our identity. We have fellowship. We have 3-bedroom apartment that can invite Africans to come and live there and research about themselves. We have a restaurant on top which can feed us. I build from my identity. My grandparents' house, there was always food. So why will I build an institution in Africa where there's no food? There's no room to stay. The first time I saw a picture of Kwame Nkrumah was in New York Public Library. It was never in my books. This is the founding father of Ghana, the Pan-African in Africa. He's the first person to gain independence as an African nation. I never knew him in my books. I knew him as a figure, not as a person. Why Kwame Nkrumah's ideologies are not studied in classrooms? But New York Public Library and the West has everything of Kwame Nkrumah. The biggest collection of Kwame Nkrumah is in Oxford and UPenn. Kwame Nkrumah's thesis and everything he did is there. Why? So today, when we all want to form a collective identity and a shared identity, this is where we start from. Can we know our presidents? Ugly, good, bad, corrupt. They are our presidents. They are our founding fathers. Their efforts and their liberation for us. Again, when you want to build a system for Africa, I studied the West and I realized that they have a channel of distribution. And our channel of distribution is our gallery. We are the only photo gallery in Ghana. We show only African work or black works. Even that, I challenge that thought. Who named us black? The lazy person who came and couldn't apprehend our culture, summarize all of us, and tag us by our skin color. Why doesn't he call himself white and call us black? He's not white. When we were in secondary school, JSS, we were told that white is a different. He's orange. Why don't he call himself orange? But he calls us black. Because it's easy and lazy and a colonist mindset to combine all of us together and put a tag on us. So sometimes in my language, again, in terms of identity, I change these vocabs in my language. Again, we show works. This is the first exhibition of Obama in Africa. We brought Obama's photographer to Ghana. Unfortunately, a white person, but we love him same. But he photographed the first black president of America. So for us, it's apparent that we share this collective responsibility of showcasing work that will challenge thought and inspire generations. Empowering the next generation through education. We believe in education. That is our core. We want to challenge the status of education. We want to build a new model of African education. An education that is not teacher-classroom relation. An education which is collaborative. An education which is co-designed with students. So our students, sometimes our model and experimentation has been very difficult because you bring in a student who has been designed and trained for so many years, and you want to challenge him to think differently. Some will not accept it. Some will not accept that model of education because they've been in that system for so long. So for us, we have fellowship. Last month, we completed our first curatorial practice, which is also a part of the system. If you want to be a storyteller, if you want to own the system, if you want to own identity, you want to distribute the identity, what happens? You have to design and train the curator, the custodian, the person who interprets the language. How many curators are in Nigeria, in Africa, and in Ghana? So for us, we've come to understand that system. So this was our first curatorial practice. For us, we have a magic number, which is 10. Every year, we bring 10 people. Now, we also have journalists as we train in. I'm proud to tell you this is our first graduate from last year. And you can see there are 2 Nigerians at the back, Marvelous and Tayo, who are now, Marvelous work for Reuters. Tayo is an independent photographer. At least I can retire. I didn't work for Reuters or any of them, but at least we could train somebody to work on that. Again, my identity. I don't build museums. I don't believe in museums. There was never a museum before the white man came. So when we are going back to identity, why do I build museum? I believe in palace. And this is a palace we're building in Accra. The difference between a museum and a palace is museums is for the West. They are never communal, they are individual. So all the cases are individual. We are communal. Anyone can go to the palace. We mourn the death. We celebrate the younger people. We celebrate Yam Festival. We celebrate all these things in a festival. So if you want to change the African mindset and a new model of education, why don't you go to school in a palace? And that is why we're building a palace. And we're looking forward to complete it in the next 4 years or less. Again, this is an illustration and a system where a palace means to us. We celebrate. I'll leave this presentation with a quote. Until the lion tells their story, the story of the hunter will always glorify the hunter. The story of Africa has consistently been told by the hunter. The lion has to tell the story of his side, the side of his story. And that is why Dikan is here. We are here to tell our story. We are here to build a system. We are actually working with agencies that we can have a news agency that tells stories, that allow photographers to publish their work. There are so many photographs on hard drives of photographers in Nigeria than any place. Nigerians are one of the best storytellers in the world. If you're friends with a Nigerian photographer, they're extremely talented and good. But you ask yourself, where are they publishing all these stories? Because there's no place. So today, I'll challenge everyone here. Enough of the hunter telling our stories. Can we all, as lions, continue to find models, systems that we can tell our own stories? The newspaper, there's a newspaper over here. Can we go to them and revive and say, hey, can you create a column for photographers that we can publish our work? And imagine the number of jobs we can create in this system. Imagine the number of things. So for me, I'm grateful that you Tell the Story is doing something in Nigeria. And collectively, I'm willing and able to come here. And again, I'll stand on this stage to tell him that if there's any support I could render, now we have 30,000 and more. Actually, you lost count. We have 30,000 and more in our warehouse. We'll look at ways and means that we can support you with your library. Thank you. I know I took some time. When your belly is filled with a vision, sometimes you go on. I'll leave it this time for questions.
Can we clap for our brother once again? Or you can have a seat. And Paul is standing here today. Yesterday, somehow he ate some food, and the food didn't go well. But in the midst of that, he still found time to stay strong and make this presentation to every one of us. Once again, let's celebrate Paul. Like I said, for me, nothing is a mistake. Everything is divine. And for the past 3 weeks, all the messages I've been hearing have been geared to remind me that nothing is a mistake. So I'll leave myself. Does anybody have a question for Paul in the room? All right, Sunny. Any other person? So is the other mic working? Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. Yes, Sunny, you can go ahead.
My name is Sani Mekatanga. I'm from Kano. So mine is not a question, but how can I manage to have my pictures in your library?
Thank you so much. Yeah, your pictures are welcome to our library. And I'm honored and grateful that we can have your pictures in our library at Dikan. But one of the things I'll push you further also is that my brother Sani, can I inspire you for you to also build a space here for other people? I heard you work at Reuters, AFP, right? Sometimes one of the things I want to challenge, because again, I understand and I appreciate and love everybody for the things I do to inspire other people. But my goal, as I'm taking the lead to solve this problem, I'm also want to challenge you, right, to also help in solving some of the problem in Benin. I'll take your pictures, and I'm happy to do that. But can I push you further also to help, if it's not building, in supporting, right? Can you volunteer to teach photographers at Tell the Stories facility, at another facility, that we can all, because right now, if Reuters AFP did not hire you again, where the young generation will come forward. So I'm happy to hang on a Zoom with you so that we can do that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome.
I'm inspired. I know this for your journey. It's not. I believe it's not easy. It must have been very, very challenging. Most of your talks are inspiring and they are very, very philanthropic. So, what has kept you going through these years? Like, how has the challenges shaped you? As finance be a problem, how did you navigate all of this? Building this. So far, I didn't hear anything of you saying you were helped by this institution, or like, how did you manage to get Dikan standing on its feet till now?
Thank you so much. Yeah, that is one part which was not apparent in my presentation. But for me, I'll tell you, what has kept me going is the love for other people and the love for Africa. All you need to do is to start. One person will believe in you. One person believed in me. As he said, Humans of New York, I met a gentleman who runs a popular blog called Humans of New York. And literally, he paid for my fees, half of my fees in New York when I went to school. He saw a vision. He saw my passion. He saw what I'm capable of doing and literally supported me with my first seed amount of money. Again, I could have lived in New York. I used to work and live in New York. And I was very comfortable, as you say, because New York system is different, right? If you're a photographer, you photograph, you pay royalties and other things. But for me, it was all coming back to Africa to build something. Yes, I've received a huge amount of support from friends, family, from institutions. As I said, I work with UPenn, who are literally coming to Ghana on 16th November of a group to train my team and to train my staff and to continue that partnership and support. One of the things I'll tell you, as much as I do not subscribe to the colonization, I've also been taught by my mother that if there will always be somebody bigger than you, someone richer than you, someone powerful than you, smarter than you, is how can I learn from that person to build a world-class institution in Ghana? And for me, I don't hate them. I work with them to understand what they do, and I can be able to bring back the same to build institution here.
Excellent. And tomorrow, we're going to have a session with Paul again tomorrow, where we call it the artist talk, or the talk of the artist. We're going to have some conversation with him, and you could ask some questions. So whatever questions that is burning in your heart that you still want to ask, Paul is still here. I think one challenge I have seen personally with us is how can we build that reading culture amongst ourselves? Because many of these things, if we don't read, we might never get to know them. Until I visited Kwame Nkrumah's, what they call that his stuff in Ghana? Memorial Park. Some things didn't make sense at some point. My boss, I don't want to call him my boss, I call him my friend, but he's my mentor. His table in his office, it's until I saw Kwame's table, I didn't understand. His table in his office is a replica of Kwame's table, but because we have changed office twice or thrice, he keeps that table. He only polishes the table. So now I understand. So as little as that, it might not make sense to anybody, but that table is a reminder of some philosophers or some people who have gone ahead and inspired him. How many of us know about Ambusali? I haven't read about him as much. But his children are still here. His friends are still here. His colleagues are still here. Can we take it as a challenge to study Ambusali? How many of us know Gbomudia? His children are still here. His friends are still here. The roads you see in this town, the ones still standing, more than 30-40% was built by one man. How many years ago? Because you pass, you say this road was built by Gbomudia. You pass and say the master plan of this town was structured by that man. But how many people have studied Samuel Gbomudia as a person? So we can't actually move forward without knowing where we are coming from. So there's a challenge you have put here, and I think we need to understand. We talked about colonialism, but I heard it from a different perspective or perception today. And it's something that I've put in my head to take back. You can't know your culture if you don't. You can't talk about your if you have not developed your culture. Because most of us we are away from who we are. We are not there. We are away. Myself and Daryl were having a conversation yesterday, talking about restitution. There are many things. There are many, like for me, why I don't even support it, because I know these guys giving you this artifacts back. They made a digital copy of that artifact that they are selling, that they will never tell you. They just give you the carcass, take. But the original copy of the digital whatever file that they have, that's what these guys they think. Why did they create what they call that stuff that we see now? That they create a virtual copy of an artwork and sell it online. What do you call it? NFT. They knew what they were doing. They knew that there was a time they're going to be returning our artifacts back to us. So how can we retain the ownership of that artifact while the carcass comes to you? They created an NFT. So the NFT of those artifacts are still with them. And they will make trillions of dollars from that thing. Guys, it's time to wake up. So that was saying yesterday, we are getting those ones back. How many have we commissioned? How many have we commissioned? The necklace Daro we are wearing now was made by the son of one of the people who did the original ones. How many have we commissioned to make new works that will stand 100 years after we are dead and gone? You just inspire me again, because I'm looking at the museums. I've never thought about it in that light. Truly, the first time I visited the palace of my king in Owo, the things I saw in that palace, the gate of the palace was never locked. It's perpetually opened. You walk in, yes, some sacred place you can't get to, but generally you can walk around that palace. How many of us have studied any palace at any point in time?
And even let's push further, right? Just to interject one. We take our students, right, for excursion. And we go to the airport with them. How many of them have gone to the palace? Or what curriculum is built around the palace and the oral history of that neighborhood? Because when I went to New York, my friends always talked about, I lived by a museum. I lived by a library. I was so ashamed. I couldn't even say I lived by a palace. As much as I was brought up in the palace, afterwards I left. I barely, before I went to New York, knew anything about culture and identity in my grandparents' palace. So for me, I'm very selective on the talks I do. If the talk does not translate into anything, there's so much conferences around. I get averagely 32 requests in a week to come and speak on panel A, panel B. You go speak on restitution, go speak on open society and everything. Afterwards, what happens? So for me, I don't want to end this conversation to be another talk. The next year, I come back again and another talk about identity. My point is that how many people of us are here? Why are we waiting always for the president? Why are we waiting for all these people all the time to come and build something for us? to come and do something. Let me tell you a practical example. So I collected archives, right? Videos. So I went to the school opposite Dikan. Then I blacked out all the one of the classrooms, and then with one projector, and I started showing them videos of Kwame Nkrumah. The attendance of the school shot up by 90%. Now, we've instituted that all I needed was a black cloth, projector, speakers, pen drive. So when someone asks me, oh, you raised it, how did you get support? I got support by starting one. The projector was my personal projector. 5 people can come together and buy one projector. Imagine going to classroom by classroom in Igbo State, in Benin State. Do you know the number of lives you can transform? The number of education you could render to that kid? For the rest of his life, he'll get to know something in the community. For the rest of his life, at least you get to know the former presidents, the person who fought for independence. He would know the original stories of independence. Today, YouTube is so available. Some of these contents are there. Don't wait to build a palace or wait to build an institution. I am privileged. Doesn't mean that you can't start in a small way. Doesn't mean you can't start with a YouTube blog post or a website. As simple as that. To start sharing the history of Yoruba, of Benin. My brothers and sisters, it's time we wake up. It's time we don't put the destiny of this country in the hands of the politician. We can transform Nigeria. Nigeria is never poor. Nigeria is never poor. That Nigeria is so full of stories and history. Why are we waiting for the president, for the minister of education to come to Benin? And when he doesn't come, we get disappointed because of our expectations. Presidents will change. Governors will change. The problem will still remain. If we don't take collective effort, simple, let's all, people who want to transform Benin State, create a WhatsApp group. Don't talk about weddings and other things. Come together and talk about how can we transform the visual culture of Benin State. And tell me next year when I come back, a change has not happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul.